Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling. Welcome to another video where today we are covering the lead interrogator chaplain of the Dark Angels, that being Asmodai, infamous for his very brutal methods of interrogation and being very effective at interrogating. He's a classic character that fits very well into the Dark Angels and 40k as a whole, and he has a great model. In fact, I think he always has. I really liked his old model, and his new model is one of my all-time favorites, but maybe that's just my bias towards Dark Angels. In terms of his points, he comes in at 70 of them, and his stats are pretty standard for a Marine character. Movement 6, Toughness 4, a 3+ save, surprisingly, an invulnerable save 4+, 4 wounds, Leadership 6, and OC 1. Very standard for a sort of not quite like a captain or chapter master weight character. He comes with the heavy bolt pistol, which is just 18-inch range, 1 attack, hits on 3, strength 4, AP 1, and damage 1. Very underwhelming. I wouldn't really use it if you're fighting infantry, because if you shoot out just one model, you can make your charge longer, but if there's some guardsmen off to the side, you could pretty easily blast at them and probably kill a couple of them, because that's all it's really good for, is killing the lightest infantry. Of course, he has that giant sword and his Crozius, so he wants to be in melee. He has his Crozius and power weapon. On strike, it gets 5 attacks that hit on 2, strength 6, AP 2, and damage 2. Upgraded version of the Crozius' normal profile. Then the Crozius and power weapon on sweep gets 8 attacks that hit on 2s, strength 5, AP 2, and damage 1. Very good for clearing out hordes, which would be just a very useful thing to have, just in case you're getting bogged down by, say, Gretchen. This is a great profile for cutting through infantry like that. His abilities are pretty standard. He has Exemplar of Hate, and while he's leading a unit, every time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll, which is obviously very good. He hits on 2s, so he's going to be hitting pretty much every attack, and who he's leading are probably hitting on 3s or maybe 2s depending on the circumstances, and rerolling there is really useful. Then, of course, he wouldn't be an interrogator chaplain without an interrogator ability. And when enemy characters within 6 inches of this model must take a battle shock test at -1 at the start of the fight phase. And if Asmodai kills an enemy character, you gain 1 CP, only in melee. But I can't imagine a bolt pistol would ever be able to kill a character, given the fact that it only has damage 1. Which is a useful enough ability, mainly just to counter things like counteroffensive, but it's more so whatever. You're bringing him for the reroll hits, basically. Which he does trade out from a normal chaplain's -1 to wound, but I think that's a fair trade for rerolling all hits, -1 to wounds. They're both very powerful. Of course, there's some overlap with Oath of Moment, but Oath of Moment synergizes better with shooting than melee, so having this always on the go is just really helpful in general. And also allows Asmodai to sort of go off and do his own thing in case, say, your Deathwing Terminators or... what's another melee unit we could talk about? Azrael is charging into the Oath of Moment target. This guy could go off and do his own thing. In terms of how good he is at fighting, he, of course, has a pretty solid generalist profile, though he would really like the +1 to wound from the Inner Circle Task Force, obviously. And really all he would struggle with in that sort of situation would be toughness 12 things. Knights with their 3+... Knights would be a problem because of their toughness, though the AP2 is really good against their 3+ saves. And Land Raiders would definitely give him trouble. And sort of vehicles in that weight class, obviously, he's only 70 points. He was punching way above his weight, even if he does chip off a few wounds, which he is likely to do with his rerolling hit rolls and the various detachment abilities he can get. Let's get on to how I would use him. So I'd say he probably is at his best leading a squad of Inner Circle companions in an Impulsor. The reason I put the Inner Circle over, say, Blade Guard is the Blade Guard already get rerolls 1 to hit, which overlaps with Asmodai's ability. And the Inner Circle companions have baked in abilities, if you will, on their weapons. Universal special rules is what I mean. They have lethal hits on strike and sustained hits 2 on sweep. And in situations where those are going to be valuable, fighting hordes or fighting vehicles, you could reroll everything that isn't a 6, and you'll not only be hitting almost all of your hits in general, but you'll also be getting a lot of extra ones with the sustained hits too. Seriously, they are so good at carving through infantry, it's not even funny. Didn't expect that to come up in the playlist, but hey, that's what you get when you shuffle your playlist. In terms of detachments, I'd say that a good option would be the Inner Circle detachment, because the +1 wound is just really good, and there's some good abilities in there, -1 to wound, stuff like that, that you can proc. On these guys, I think that would be worth it. And as I mentioned, I think they would be best out of an Impulsor, just because it fits them perfectly, and they aren't quite as tough as if they had Azrael around, because they wouldn't have the invulnerable save. And an Impulsor in general is just a good battlefield bunker. They could, say, load up into a Land Raider with... this would be kind of a really insane battlefield bunker, but say Asmodai, his companions, Azrael and his companions could fit into one of the bigger Land Raiders for just a pretty crazy amount of melee to jump out, which I actually think could work just for the fact that the melee that you would be delivering would be so impactful, and there would be so much of it, they could split off, go charge their own things. Though you would have to bring either a Crusader or a Redeemer, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that is an option if you just want to rocket a Land Raider up the board. I can't say I blame you. I'd say that in general, though, Asmodai plays second fiddle to Azrael. Obviously, Azrael's the best character in Dark Angels, but I don't think Asmodai is bad. I think he's just overshadowed for the most part. But I mean, Asmodai has such a baller model. I mean, the hood, the sensors, the baller boss mode stance is what I call it, is so good. Like, how could I leave him on the shelf? He's just such a cool model. And I do think he is powerful enough in sort of focusing companions into what they're already good at, where Azrael's good at making them more general purpose. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all when I am trapped inside a box of Dark Angels Deathwing Terminators. See ya!